Hey, I'm Corey. My wife and I, Amanda, we live 100% off-grid on 100 acres in the wheat belt of WA. Because we're building this place from scratch, we do some big jobs here at Rockpole, but not all projects are big. Some are little, and all the little ones add up. We do have some really big projects coming up in 2025. Hello, Orchard. So I really want to get all these little niggly jobs out of the way. I've got a bunch of things on my list, and I've pretty much only got this weekend to get them all done. I've got a chicken water idea I want to try. Mrs. RP has requested some mods to the stanchion. I've got a handrail to make in the cowshed stanchion area, and also a calf feeder idea that we're going to do. And I've only got 2 days to get it sorted, so let's start in the shed. I'll run through my theory, my idea with you, see what you reckon. Have a problem with our chickens standing in the water and also flicking dirt into the water. We have a black container which should make the water area darker, which should help keep it fresher for longer. It's got a lid on it so they can't get in there, right? They can stand on the lid all they want. Easy to clean, hose off. And it will have a float valve in it, so it automatically refills itself. And it will have a couple of holes in the side where they can poke their little heads in and get some water. So let's just cut to the chase and start getting some tools out. Got a drill with a 25mm hole saw, just a little baby hole saw for those little baby jobs, you know. So let's drill a hole about there. And we have a hole. Woohoo! Little deburring device, and we'll just run around the hole. Okay. So float valves are pretty simple. They're just a little, I'll just unscrew this because I've already started. They're just a little float here. Water goes in here and out here. There's a little hole and a plunger. And when the float valve lifts, when the water level rises in the container, it lifts this float and it blocks off the little hole and stops the water flow. Now most float valves have a little, a bit of adjustability, so you can adjust the actual float through like a little wing nut here. This is only a cheap float, you know, so you can adjust it to get that desired level in your container. And we've got a little rubber O-ring to help stop the leak, so that, oh, it even fits. This is the right size saw, that's good. That screws on. Make it as tight as we can without kind of stripping the thread, you know, because it is only plastic. There we have a float valve. So we've got water in, float valve. Now the problem is they can't get in to get the water. Let's drill, say 4 holes in there, and we might cut this. It's only soft plastic, so I don't want to use a grinder or a jigsaw. And I reckon if I drill some neat holes in the corner, I'll be able to take it out with some tin snips. Alright, so we've got 4 holes. That'll give us our nice little little radius in the corner. And as I suspected, it cuts very easily. Bottom one. Now we'll just run through with the little deburrer again. Alright, so we've got 1 hole that I'm not going to try it because my head doesn't fit through there, but you can get the idea of how the chicken is going to go in there. So let's just drill some more holes. The float valve is in. We've got 4 holes in it, because you can just see me through there somewhere maybe. I'll give that a good hose out and a clean before we actually add the water into it. And then the lid will be pretty self-explanatory. Now, is that the easiest chicken waterer? Is that the easiest thing to make? $13 for the container. Pretty sure you can get these float valves off eBay for literally a couple of dollars each. So for under $20, you can have a pretty simple waterer like this. Now I say that, but it's not tested yet, is it? I'm not going to put it in the coop just yet. I haven't actually got a hose that goes into the coop. I haven't done the water pipe underground into the coop yet. That's on the job list as well, but not today. I just need to get my hose and connect it to that. So it's just a hose connector, this black part, and then this one happens to have a brass reducer in it from 3/4 to 1/2 inch. That basically just screws on the back there. Now there's a rubber washer in there that gives it the seal, so you don't have to do it up too tight, just firm, you know. And then we connect the, I need 3 arms. I'm sure Mrs. RP would love it if I had 3 arms, maybe not. Connect the hose, and water's coming out. And you can see that when it fills with water, this float valve will go up and it stops the flow of water. Now keep in mind that I am only gravity feeding from this little tank here at the moment. So we are going to have a bigger tank that goes in this area. That's what that area is for about a 4,000 litre tank. So that's why the water is only like basically just trickling out, because there's not much head pressure difference between here. But once it's full, and the chickens don't drink, you know, like, and it's not like a cow is going to drink, you know, 30 litres in one gulp. So, but as the chickens drink it, it'll just, you know, replenish itself. So I might just grab the hose and actually just fill up some water in there now, just to help the process, you know. So I'm just kind of estimating the where to adjust the float valve at the moment. I'm just coming up another like click on the adjuster. Just under here the water is still trickling out, and I've got the water level, this float here, if I was just to move it up about 10 mil, it'd stop the water. So we're still rising, the water's still rising, and the water currently is about 30 to 40 millimeters down from the holes here. So I'm just going to leave that for now and just see where this water actually stops, and then I'll just check my level from here to here. And if we need to adjust another click, we'll lift this float up. You just simply loosen that little butterfly nut and you can move the float independently of the little structure here. So I'll come back in 5 minutes. So let's take the lid off. Alright, and the water has stopped. Oh, not quite, there's still a little drip. It's probably only got another few millimeters to come up and the float will cut the water off. So I might just move this sort of to the side, so I'm not like walking over it, you know, and we'll come back in a bit and we'll see if any chickens are actually drinking out of it. Let's talk some mods to the stanchion here. What we're going to do is this shelf we're going to move. We're going to move it along about 300 mil that way, and also we're going to cut this rail out and we're going to make this opening here, which is currently 900 mil, we're going to make that out to 1100 millimeters, so another 200, and then I'll cut this and the bottom one, and we'll put another vertical bit of pipe in that comes right up to here, and we'll weld that in, and then we may just have a bit of rope on a clip that kind of hangs down here, because remember this bit won't be here, so when Miss Moody comes in, we don't want her to go, oh, there's an opening, and she can walk straight out. And then we're going to look at, let's go over that way. Okay, so as you know and can see, we have these like temporary building fence panels here to stop the cows from going out, and my idea is I want to build like a permanent fence, steel fence here. So we're going to use the same round tube as this, and I'm going to bring 2 rails across, so one at say this height and one a bit lower, and we'll bring it across and we'll put a bend in it. Oh, we get to use the pipe bender, eh? The tube bender. Be able to run through that with you. How cool is that? And we'll put a bend here and then we'll weld it onto here. And then this will just get some mesh welded to it, probably like this type of like bigger panel mesh. I think these squares are about 200 by 100. That'll be fine for across there. And the bottom tube will be off the ground by a bit, so we'll be able to hose stuff down. And then Mrs. RP said to me, she goes, now when I separate the calves, we're having a conversation here, right? So she goes, when I separate the calves, I want something I can put their feed in. So we've been using this thing, right? Which, you know, it can hang on stuff, but their heads get in it, and they're pretty strong, these two little calves, and they throw this thing around like there's nothing, no tomorrow. So she goes, what about like a fixed feeder that can go in this corner here, right? And we can just chuck feed over the top and into it when the calves are in here for the night. So I've done a bit of Googling, looked at some ideas, and I've come up with a few pictures of a blue drum. Blue drums are just so universal for like so many different things. And we have blue drums, right? So we're going to make a corner feeder that'll fix to these rails that I'm going to weld in. So it'll fix to them, it'll be off the ground, it'll just be easy access for the calves, and probably summer we'll get a big head in there, no doubt. So it's kind of got to be a bit secure. So why don't we go look at that and we'll make that next. We have a blue drum, jigsaw, tape measure, and a Sharpie. What else do we have? We have an offcut of mesh, 200 by 100 mesh, 5mm thick by the look of it. So, what's my idea? Well, technically it's not my idea because it's Google's idea. But basically, we want to have a drum. We're going to cut it down in half. We're going to cut it through here, down there, and around. So we're left with like the bottom part of the drum, about 150 deep, and then like a back side of it. And then that'll have some mesh on it, and then it'll mount back to those metal rails that we're going to put in. Let's have a look at a bit of a thought first on how we're going to cut it. I reckon if we go along the halfway line, because they actually have seams in it as part of the like moulding process. There's actually, so you can see where you can easily cut it in half. How deep a thing do we want for food? Maybe, let's just kind of wing a measurement here, you know. I think 150 will be fine. So if I mark 150, so we've got a mark there, and then I reckon I'll be able to get 2 out of this. Be able to get 2. So if I come up another 150, alright, and I do the same again. Now it's probably all going to become very, very clear once I cut this, and you'll see the outcome. I probably want some sort of like rounded corner, so I need something round. Alright, is that big enough? No, I probably want a bit bigger than that. Let's just have a look around here. Oh, that bucket will do. Alright, so we've got our marks. So you can see here we've got black texture marks that go all the way around the drum. Let's cut it. What do you think? Pretty snazzy, eh? So then we basically will cut this mesh and we will weld up a little frame and we'll put it in there like that. Too easy. nice. We'll weld that onto a steel frame, and that will be great. Okay, 505 plus 40 is 545. So 2 bits at 545. 2 more bits at 505. Write that down in my little book. You know, so this is later if I want to make another one later. I know, you know, I can just look at my little notes and do, you know, boom, boom, zip, zip, weld, weld. I just put all the weld across on the back so the front of it looks nice and clean. No sharp edges. Come here, drum. That'll fix into the side here. I think Mrs. RP is going to be impressed. Now I'm just going to give this a bit of a sand on the back and just get rid of any like extra sharp edges that there could be. Now I like to use a wire wheel on the grinder. These are pretty dangerous. This one's pretty old, so it's like old quality, I suppose you'd call it. But some of the wire wheels I've seen these days are like, the quality is not so there. But 100% safety glasses, and be careful of how you angle it. So if you're wire wheeling something, you don't want to be looking perpendicular with the brush, because if one of these wire strands lets go, right, I've had them come off and like literally stick in your arm, go through your shirt and stick in your chest. Alright, they're like little needles and they will stick in you, not in your eye butt. So I tend to always, you know, keep the square line of the wire away from my face. All the other body parts are fine, just not the face. Now I need to find some silver paint. Oh, here's one I prepared earlier. That'll do. Now I'm just going to use some Tex screws and some washers just to put on the outside to give the surface area a bit more like body for the Tex, so the Tex screw doesn't pull through the plastic. Found some Tex, hopefully. Well, they should be long enough. Only one way to find out, I guess. Oh, yes! So that works a treat. Now I'm probably going to put them like 100 mil apart going down there. I'll just line them up with this mesh here. Okay. Job done. Mrs. RP wants to get 1100 mil. 1100 mil is what she gets. cut this out. There's going to be some sparks, darling. I know, are you okay with sparks? You'll soon move. Boom, boom. I knew I didn't get... Oh! Oh, he just walked on the chicken. Good one. I knew I never bolted that bottom plate in for a reason, just in case. Not bad. Now I just brought in a few scrap plates that I have just in my little scrap container, you know, so just going to find one, probably that little square one right there. That's good, and then we'll hang a little rope through there, or a chain maybe through there. What do you think, Stevie? No, you want that corner feeder in, don't you? You're like, man, where's my corner feeder? Alright, so we should probably measure this pipe and then do all the welding at once. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Now, a bit of pipe is going to be roughly this high, which is 1.60 m, which is roughly, don't eat my tape measure, roughly there. So we're going to come out, it's all very technical, isn't it? At least 600, and then I can trim it to suit. So I'll bend it so it has like a 600 leg, which is probably like a, 400 straight bit, and then the bend, and then that'll take you out to the overall width. So about 600 there, right on my notepad here. This one's always with me. 600, and we'll come out. For those of you with a keen eye, you may notice that I don't have a purple tape measure. I don't know where I put it. So if we come out 3.2, make it 3.2 by 600 overall. So picture like an L shape, 3.2 metres by 600. Only the corner won't be square, it'll be bent. Alright, so for those that are interested, this is a... Oh, got brakes on. This is a hydraulic tube pipe bender. It'll bend tube or pipe, round or square, depending on what die you purchase for it. I only have a limited number of dies because they are very expensive. This is a 40 NB pipe die. So for this die and this thing here, which is called the follow bar, you're probably looking at about $1,000 for that, just that one die. So I don't have too many. It's a JD squared model 32. I made the stand and I converted it to hydraulic. It's just got it is pretty heavy. It's just got a 12 volt hydraulic pump. Get these for about $150. 3-inch ram with a 18-inch stroke, and I've just got a forward and reverse toggle switch that I wired up and a go button. So you can which direction you want to go, you just flick the switch and you bend it, and then you retract it like that. So we just need some pipe. So we just chuck some pipe in. 600, now I know from experience that if my bend is approximately 500 millimeters, and then there is a certain position on here that you line up the mark on the die. I won't go into that detail. Okay, that'll do. Now this just goes on, just clamps the pipe. We'll take the slack out of it. Roger. Now a little bit of lubricant. The way this bender works is like a ratchet mechanism, so it'll only bend about, with the way I've got the ram set up currently, about 50 degrees on one pass, and then you've got to retract it and you put this pin in the next hole in the die and you can get another sort of 50 degrees out of it. And it will bend, this is a 180 degree die, so it will bend 180 all the way around. I do just kind of eyeball it and then I'll measure it. I have our little digital measurer here. So basically if we put that on there and we zero it out, right, we're zero, and then we put it up on here and it tells me I am 87.8. So I just need to go a few more degrees. 89.8. That's close enough to 90 for me. And there we have a nice 90-degree bend. So I'll be able to cut this to length here and then cut this one to length. I'm just going to bend another one the same, and then we'll trim them up. Two bends and they're pretty much identical. So that's good. That's good. Thumb's a bit sore from pushing the little button, you know. But now we'll just cut them to length. So I've got actual measurements of what I want to cut this at. So 31.15 and 5.60 are my two measurements. So I went a little bit bigger just to make sure that I've got enough on the bend. So I'll just clamp a bit of straight tube, bit of square tube to the end of the pipe there, and then I can measure along here. 31.15. That's where that gets cut. Okay, so we're doing this measurement a bit differently. I know that I want 5.60 to where it intersects that other piece of round pipe, but I need to cut it with a hole saw. So I want 5.60 to this edge here. So that's my measurement, 5.60, and then I'll plough through with the hole saw, and that'll give me a nice little, you know, scallop to mate onto the round tube that's already there and be a nice, you know, finish to weld. And then I'll pre-drill just with a little drill bit here. Okay, that gets me started. Now I'll go to my hole saw. Now I use for cutting fluid a bit of kerosene mixed with automatic transmission fluid. If I wanted 100 mils all up, I would probably use 90 mils of kerosene and 10 mils of ATF fluid. Okay, I'm right on my mark. It's amazing what measurements do. Now it's going to flick hot stuff everywhere because hole saws do that when you cut through metal. And you want to hang on to it too, because if it grips, it'll rip it out of your hand. Okay. Now I don't want to drill through the concrete. Okay, so as you can see, I've just tidied that up a bit with just taking the edges off it with the grinder, so there's nothing sharp to cut my precious little fingies. You can see it gives like a bit of a scallop in there, and that mates onto the round tube like very nicely, so you can like get a nice weld around it. Good morning. So, hey Summer. Right, you guys have got to move. Move. Okay, so you can see I'm just working along the mesh, I'm working with the mesh along the tube, and I'm just kind of keeping the tube, the mesh center of the vertical here, and as I'm working along I'm just putting some little welds about 10 or 15 mil long every 200 mil, and I'm just using the clamp to hold it on there nice and tight, kind of in the center, and I'll just work my way along until we get down the end, and we'll go from there. Okay, let's remove these panels. Don't knock the camera over. That looks pretty good. We're looking good, kind of the vision is coming. It was a very old bit of mesh and it's a bit wonky. So next thing is I'm going to cut this bit of tube and weld it in there like so. And then that will give me something to fix, to bolt this back to on this side. And then I will run a piece of mesh kind of around here, and then we'll mount this thing. So this is it. Another stage in the Mrs. RP's cowshed. So we started with just some 40 NB pipe, got it in the pipe bender, got a nice bend here, you know. Put some mesh on. This is just like sheet yard mesh, 100 by 200 that way. This is this is a metre high actually, 1 metre from the concrete high. So I cable tied that hose up. Now this water is just temporary because we have got plans for a bigger sort of water trough that goes on this side with change that gate to a sliding gate, blah blah blah. So that's all tidied up there. A little bit of mesh around the corner here just because I wanted to. And then I moved her table so that's back centred of the new width here. Put this rope on, so just a little bit of a visual deterrent as Miss Summer walks in, and then Amanda can just unclip it with the little clip here, and that's all good. Now I did forget to get fixings for the bottom plate here, but that's okay. And then we come around here and we've got the half drum calf feeder. That's all bolted on. You can see they've got the big washers on there, and flat washers, spring washers and nuts. So that's rigid as, and I've got 2 bolts going through into the other drum feeder in there. So that is pretty awesome. Thanks for joining me on my little loose end tour. Hope you enjoyed it. Just a few bits and pieces that, you know, we get up to around here. We get up to all sorts, don't we? Alright, see you on the next one. Thanks folks. Bye.